I want to welcome everybody to this demonstration. Breaking news in the Naziah Harris case. The cops has finally admitted. I'm going to give everybody a few more minutes to pull up. Let me welcome my Facebook family and friends. Salute to the replay gang. Salute to my moderators. Salute to the chat. Salute to all of my paid members. Salute to all of my paid members. Salute to the whole Rock Squad. Let's see who we got in here early. Salute Mama Bull. Salute Ra. Salute Kenya. Salute Tudor. And can I get everybody to throw up some purple hearts? Can I get everybody to throw up some purple hearts? And make sure y'all are hashtagging justice for Naziah Harris. Salute Rozzy. Salute Rozzy. So finally, the Detroit Police Department has came out and has admitted some negligence on their part. Salute Tracy. Salute Zilla. Finally, the Detroit Police Department has came out and has admitted some negligence on their part.
Did Detroit police miss a chance to save the life of Naziah Harris? Records uncovered by the 7 investigators tonight show that they did.
Nearly 2 years before Naziah went missing, police received a warning involving the man now accused in her murder.
And tonight, DPD says they messed up. 7 investigator Ross Jones reveals what went wrong and what's changed as a result.
Mr. Butts targeted and befriended women who had to have sexual relationships with their young daughters. He was a classic and expert groomer and pedophile.
On the same day, Jarvis Butts would be accused of killing and sexually abusing 13-year-old Naziah Harris, police and prosecutors urged the community to protect its children at all costs.
But when it comes to our children, we must be deliberative, we must be diligent, and laser focused on their safety.
We make strong and good decisions for our children, keep them out of harm's way.
But more than 20 months before Harris ever went missing, Detroit police had been warned that she'd been victimized by Jarvis Butts and failed to ever investigate.
There was enough for the department to ask about Naziah.
Yeah, we could have done better. No question.
Last month, we showed you that Jarvis Butts had been the subject of multiple complaints to Children's Protective Services, including at least one that named Naziah Harris as a victim. What we did not know at the time is that CPS wasn't the only agency who'd been warned. In April of 2022, in response to a complaint CPS had received, workers there submitted a law enforcement notification, or LEN, to Detroit police. It's an alert to possible criminal behavior that may warrant a police investigation. In this case, the complaint told DPD that there was an incident at a birthday party where a child accused Butts of sexual abuse. Naziah, and name withheld, reported that Jarvis touched them inappropriately as well. It read, Jarvis is a sex offender and a felon. Naziah's great aunt, Jernell, says she filed that complaint with CPS that ultimately made its way to DPD.
They're the police, they're supposed to investigate. I mean, it had all the everything is there.
But the department never did investigate, at least with respect to Naziah. Instead, according to officials, only the other alleged victim named in the report was questioned because CPS only listed her under the victim header, even though Naziah was identified as an abuse victim too.
Does that make any sense to you?
No, makes zero sense. Either they didn't read it or they didn't comprehend it. That's my opinion.
Tom Berry is a retired Detroit police lieutenant who reviewed the report that bears Naziah's name.
How many victims do you see identified there?
I see 2 for sure, maybe 3. Somebody dropped the ball. It's pretty clear by reading that there's at least 2 allegations of sexual assault there.
Her name was right in the report. At a minimum, the department should reach out to her and at least ask if something happened. But that didn't happen.
I'm going to stop it right there. I'm gonna stop it right there. Appreciate that super chat, truly Ashanti. Appreciate that super chat, truly Ashanti. Hey Shank, I'm watching on my TV, just showing love. You and Ms. Parker been doing a great job covering this case. Much love to you both. And much love back to you, truly Ashanti. Glad to see you. Appreciate for that super chat. I mean, this is what we all suspected. This is what we already knew. We already knew this. But let me just let it ride out, and I'll come back and we're going to chop this whole interview up.
It did not.
Today, Assistant Chief Charles Fitzgerald makes no excuses, saying much has changed with how the department handles the more than 5,000 LEN reports it receives every year. Unlike when the Neziah complaint came through, he says DPD now interviews everyone identified inside, regardless of whether they're listed under the victim header.
I mean, anytime you investigating the case, anytime that the law, anytime that the cops is investigating a case, they're going to speak with everyone that's involved in the case. For surely they're going to speak to the victim, which is the unknown minor. Surely they're going to speak to all witnesses, which should have been Neziah Harris. And I'm going to keep it 100. This is when the black card comes in effect. The reason why the Detroit Police Department did not further investigate this case by going and speak with Neziah Harris, which was a witness, was because it was melanated people involved. Appreciate the new membership, Lisa. Appreciate the new membership, Lisa, because had it been, and they knew they had Jarvis's Butts report card. How did they have Jarvis's Butts report card? Because Jarvis Butts was the predator, was the assailant, was the person that's being charged in the case. So Jarvis is the number one suspect. For surely the DPD pulled Jarvis's report card. Appreciate that super sticker, Tanya. Appreciate that super sticker, Tanya. So you got Jarvis. You got a known, and it just keep coming back. Every time Miss Annette pop up, every time Shannon pops up, no matter who pops up, no matter who's involved, they have Jarvis's Butts report card. The DPD has Jarvis's Butts report card. He's a serial child R. So you mean to tell me y'all don't even go and speak with the witness in this case? Well, you know, we spoke with the victim. And you also were supposed to have spoken with the witnesses. I'm going to let it continue.
Complaints are triaged and are assigned quickly, and missing information, like in this case, Neziah's last name, is ferreted out by investigators.
It's a horrible excuse. We still should have done what we should have done.
The fact that they acknowledge you should.
So they even had her name. They even had her last name faded out. What's wrong with these people? And they want to call us ghetto. They want to call black people ghetto. They want to call melanated people ghetto. I think the DPD, the Detroit Police Department, is ghetto. This whole investigation was jacked up from the very beginning. Everything about this investigation stinks. Now, the Detroit Police Department wants to come out, and now they want to admit that they dropped the ball. But guess what? Nothing, no apologies, no amount of money. Even if they give Jarvis Butts, Miss Annette, Marquita and the rest of them, even if they get them 300 years in prison, it still won't bring back Naziah Harris. And this is how they work. That's how they work. Longs a black person is no longer here, they don't care about the repercussions. They don't care about the repercussions. As long as another dead black person is out of here, that's all that counts to them. Appreciate the new membership, Mo. Appreciate that new membership, Mo.
Didn't have worked this way, and it took for something so tragic to happen to her. You're damn right it shouldn't have worked that way. They should have did their job.
Juana Morton is one of Naziah's relatives who says she filed complaints with CPS too. She wonders tonight if the 13-year-old's fate might have been different had police ever bothered to reach out.
Yeah, it would have been different. Yeah, I can promise you it would have been different. This little baby right here, Naziah Harris, she was hurting. All that trauma she went through. She was scared. She ain't know what to do. She was around family members that she knew didn't give a damn about her. Naziah Harris knew that her own family didn't give a damn about her. Because if her family cared about her, Jarvis Butts would have never been able to take advantage of her. They wouldn't have never had Jarvis Butts in the company of Naziah Harris if that family cared about Naziah Harris. But because Naziah Harris wasn't Jarvis's child, who cared?
Somebody has to answer for that. They absolutely do. CPS and DPD.
I think the obvious question that a case like this begs is how many other victims or alleged victims in reports like this were named but never contacted by DPD?
Yeah, prior to the recent process, I don't know. I would hate to speculate even.
Do you worry that there are other cases like
Of course, yeah, for sure.
You know it's other cases. You know it's other cases. If that's the story that he's sticking to, if it's their policy that they, at the time, they didn't question the witnesses. So if they didn't question the witnesses, I can promise y'all, it's thousands upon thousands of Naziah Harris's out there just alone in Detroit. I'm gonna need Detroit to get it together.
I don't think it stopped in one child sliding through the crack. They clearly weren't doing their jobs.
We don't know, of course, what Naziah might have said to police if she'd been interviewed. The other alleged victim who was questioned made no disclosures of abuse. Jarvis Butts denied he touched anyone when questioned by police, and he has maintained his innocence since being charged. But by not asking the question, you know she couldn't possibly have said something was going on, and that's what haunts the family and will haunt the family, I think, for a very long time.
Exactly. Let me jump down to the chat. Let me jump down to the chat and see what the chat is talking about. Tanya says, this is awful. This could have been my granddaughter. They can't let this go. It's sad. So, and then they wonder why black people don't trust the police, even when we're victims. Even when we're victims. So for me, that means none of us are safe. And for all of my non-blacks that aren't racist, just step aside for right now. For all non-blacks that aren't racist, that feel our pain, just step aside for a second, because I need to speak. I need to get this off of my chest. This doesn't apply for those that aren't racist. This applies to those that are racist. If Naziah Harris would have been Caucasian, if this situation with Naziah Harris, if Naziah Harris as a witness would have been Caucasian, if the victim, that name is unknown. If that victim would have been Caucasian, they would have took Jarvis Butt's ass to jail. Ms. G says, right, I'm here and it's bad for trafficking and missing people. Ms. G says she up there in Detroit and it's bad. Charlene says the system failed her. These people are not doing their job. Tanya says, right, Shank Rock, speak it. Zilla says, facts. Mama Boo says, speak, Shank. Marie says, the DPD and social services ban many more. Can they be charged? The reason why I asked, everyone knew. I'm hoping that they could be charged, but we pretty much already know. And that's why he made it clear. He made it clear the stress that it wasn't in a policy. However, it's in a policy now. And see, that's what he'll be able to, that's what the DPD, the Detroit Police Department, will be able to fall back on. Well, it's not policy. Yeah, even though we should have questioned the witness. However, it's not standard policy. Hurricane says, what about the school? They failed her too. I'm waiting for the school. I'm waiting for the school to come forward now. I'm waiting for the school to come forward and admit that they failed Naziah Harris. All of them failed Naziah Harris, but how? How? Sabrina says, certainly true. How? Why? Why? You mean to tell me? You mean to tell me they all didn't care about Naziah? Was it personal? Was it something personal? Do y'all think it was personal? Or do y'all think, hey, it's just another black kid? What is really good with this case? Pretty says, I live in Detroit and police don't never look for the black kids, never. And it's sad. Yolanda says, same here. Alicia says, so DPS is just now looking into this. I think that they're just coming out. I believe that they've been looking into it, but now it's okay, how can we fix this? How can we dress things up? Because I know they're getting a lot of heat. They catching a lot of heat from this. So now it's okay, we did mess up. How can we dress it up? Nisha says they all are liars and they being exposed. The school and everybody else that had their hands in it need to pay for that baby. Make sure y'all throwing up them purple hearts and hashtag justice for Naziah Harris. Salute, I see through you. Tanya says they knew this all along. They knew it. They knew it all along. Black people, melanated people, what are we going to do? Let me ask the question again. Black people, melanated people, what are we going to do? It's up to us. It's left up to us. Salute Stanford, Mom. Salute Stanford, Mom. What are we going to do? I mean, let's just put on our thinking caps. We already know they don't care about us. Why should they? We already know that they don't care about us. Why should they? And I say this all the time. In respect to Caucasians, in respect to every nationality that's not melanated, in respect to them, they're not supposed to. They're not supposed to save us. They're not supposed to help us. I'm being honest. A lion is not supposed to help a wild hyena, vice versa. The wild hyena ain't supposed to help the lion. But the lion's going to help the lions. And even though lions do fight, the wild hyenas is going to help the wild hyenas, even though the wild hyenas fight amongst themselves. But when it comes to other animals, it's the wild hyenas against the lions. You ain't gonna never see a wild hyena on the same side with a lion fighting against the wild hyenas. What are we going to do? When are we going to make a change? Salute, Roberta. I could keep doing these demonstrations over and over again. I could keep speaking until I turn purple. But unless we make a change, we're going to keep going through this. Ms. Parker says the communities in Detroit have to come together and use their voice and feet to make the city force changes. Salute, Squeak. Salute, Squeak. Marie says, Shank, is this true? Is what going on? My black people are being sacrificed. No, and why is this world is changing to unalive? It always been like that, Marie. It never stopped. It always been like this. The rest of the world has always been, well, let me backtrack. Not always, because at one time we was in power. But I believe for the last 2,000 years, it's been us against the world. Stanford Mom says, too much if this is going on in the world. In my opinion, forgive me if I'm wrong, that her aunt knew exactly what was going on and allowed it to go on to keep this man around. That's facts, Stanford Mom. That's facts. You hit that on the nose, Stanford Mom. Salute Blended Healing. Salute Blended Healing. Salute Zena. Alicia says, put a new meaning to Karen. I need to speak to the manager. This thing's sad, man. So I'm going to run it back for everybody that just pulled up. The Detroit Police Department has admitted, they have came out and admitted today, they have came out and admitted that they were negligent.
Did Detroit police miss a chance to save the life of Neziah Harris? Records uncovered by the 7 investigators tonight show that they did.
Nearly 2 years before Neziah went missing, police received a warning involving the man now accused in her murder.
And tonight, DPD says they messed up. 7 investigator Ross Jones reveals what went wrong and what's changed as a result.
Mr. Butts targeted and befriended women who had to have sexual relationships with their young daughters. He was a classic and expert groomer and pedophile.
On the same day, Jarvis Butts would be accused of killing and sexually abusing 13-year-old Neziah Harris, police and prosecutors urged the community to protect its children at all costs.
But when it comes to our children, we must be deliberative, we must be diligent, and laser focused on their safety.
We make strong and good decisions for our children, keep them out of harm's way.
But more than 20 months before Harris ever went missing, Detroit police had been warned that she'd been victimized by Jarvis Butts and failed to ever investigate.
There was enough for the department to ask about Neziah.
Yeah, we could have done better.
It is right there. It is right there. We could have done better.
No question.
Last month, we showed you that Jarvis Butts had been the subject of multiple complaints to Children's Protective Services, including at least one that named Neziah Harris as a victim. What we did not know at the time is that CPS wasn't the only agency who'd been warned. In April of 2022, in response to a complaint CPS had received, workers there submitted a law enforcement notification, or LEN, to Detroit police. It's an alert to possible criminal behavior that may warrant a police investigation. In this case, the complaint told DPD that there was an incident at a birthday party where a child accused Butts of sexual abuse. Neziah, and name withheld, reported that Jarvis touched them inappropriately as well. It read, Jarvis is a sex offender and a felon.
So even though Neziah is down as a witness in the case, she's also stated that Jarvis has touched her. I don't see how they could have missed. I don't see how they could have missed this, because she's down there as a witness already. So the DPD, the Detroit Police Department, ignored the fact that she's a witness in the case. However, she's been touched also. So why wasn't she not only a witness? Why wasn't it a complaint filed for her as a victim? Man, they messed this thing up, Rock Squad and Riders and everybody else. They messed over Neziah Harris so bad. They really messed over Neziah Harris, like, and for everybody, and everybody probably have seen this. It's a video of a man that stopped his car, got out, and beat his dog. Don't y'all know that they showed that video all day long? Don't you know that they arrested that man? Now, they arrested a man for beating a dog. They arrested a man for beating a dog, but couldn't arrest a known serial child R. Just swept it up under the rug. Jarvis Butts is a sex offender and a felon. It ain't, now I could see if on his report card he had a bunch of E's for being excellent. He had a bunch of G's for being good. He got F after F after F. He's a known felon. He got SOs. That's all on his record. It's SOs and Fs. But now the DPD want to come out and openly admit it. Well, whether they admitted it, that they dropped the ball or not, I mean, it's okay. It's okay. And it makes me wonder, because y'all know I watch Tubi. And a lot of the Tubi movies come out of Detroit. Shout out to all the actors, producers, and directors on Tubi that be producing those Tubi movies. But almost every movie that come out of Detroit, almost every one of them Tubi movies that come out of Detroit, them polices in them movies is always crooked. But Jarvis got all these F's on his report card. He got SOs all on his report card. No wonder he was moving the way he was moving. Jarvis Butts felt like he was untouchable. Jarvis Butts laid his game down, and he had everybody on board. He had everybody on board. Jarvis Butts' whole game plan was to ruin as many children's lives as he could. because Jarvis Butts at 13 years old, maybe younger than that, but because Jarvis Butts' childhood life was ruined, he set out to ruin as many kids' lives as he could. Hurt people hurt people. Shout out to Charlene. Charlene is just one out of the many that has been sexually assaulted, but decided not to inflict the same pain that was inflicted on her. And shout out to all of the other sexual assault survivors that even though evil was done to them, they refused to do evil onto anybody else. But Jarvis Butts, that's his plan. That was his blueprint. And I'm gonna tell y'all, the puppet master, the Dr. Frankenstein in Jarvis's life is Jarvis's sister. Salute positive vibes. Salute positive vibes. Jarvis's Butts' sister created a monster. And just like in the movie Frankenstein, the doctor's creation turned on him.
Nazia's great aunt, Janelle, says she filed that complaint with CPS.
Now I want to stop with Janelle and Kiwana. I want to stop and I want to talk a little bit about Janelle and Kiwana. For me, I think that they solid. So a big shout out to Janelle and Kiwana. When it comes to the Naziah Harris case, I believe that those two are solid. I know some think that they messy. I know they got that thing, that cat fight that's going on with them two and Roxy. I don't get involved in women's cat fights. But I gotta acknowledge when I see people that do good. Now, when it comes to Janelle and Kiwana, they are, in my opinion, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, they were the only two family members that actually went to the authorities. They're the only family members that reported. Now, keep in mind, this is when Naziah was still alive. Nobody went to the authorities. Nobody made a CPS complaint but those two. Roxy comes in the picture after Naziah is missing. And I give Roxy flowers for the job that she done. She come into the picture, to my best of my knowledge, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, Roxy comes in after when she goes missing. But these are the two. Salute Mel, salute Tiffany. Gene, I see y'all. These are the two that stood up for Naziah Harris. Salute Pretty Black TV. And I'll come down there to the chat. Just give me a minute. But whenever a family member is speaking with the authorities on behalf of Naziah, it's them two right there. It's them two. When Miss Annette is speaking with the authorities, she bullshitting. She bullshitting when she speak with the authorities. So these are the only two, in my opinion, that tried to save Naziah Harris.
That ultimately made its way to DPD.
They're the police. They're supposed to investigate. I mean,
they're the police. What Janelle? They the Police don't hold up. Let me come to y'all. The police not investigating? The police not investigate? When do the police not investigate? When do the police not talk to a witness? Especially when the witness claims that she was touched.
Had all the everything is there.
But the department never did investigate, at least with respect to Neziah. Instead, according to officials, only the other alleged victim named in the report was questioned because CPS only listed her under the victim header, even though Neziah was identified as an abuse victim too.
Does that make any sense to you?
No, makes zero sense. Either they didn't read it or they didn't comprehend it. That's my opinion.
Tom Berry is a retired Detroit police lieutenant who reviewed the report that bears Neziah's name.
How many victims do you see identified there?
I see 2 for sure, maybe.
How many victims do you see? How many victims do you see in the report? He said 2, maybe 3. The 2 victims is the unknown minor, the unnamed minor, and Neziah Harris. So how could how could he see it that Neziah Harris was a victim as well? How is it that all of us that has been following this case sees that Neziah Harris was a victim also?
Somebody dropped the ball. It's pretty clear by reading that there's at least 2 allegations of sexual assault there.
Her name was right in the report. At a minimum, the department should reach out to her and at least ask if something happened. But that didn't happen.
It did not.
Today, Assistant Chief Charles Fitzgerald makes no excuses, saying much has changed with how the department handles the more than 5,000 LEN reports it receives every year. Unlike when the Neziah complaint came through, he says DPD now interviews everyone identified inside, regardless of whether they're listed under the victim header. Complaints are triaged and are assigned quickly, and missing information, like in this case, Neziah's last name, is ferreted out by investigators.
Why didn't they ask? Why didn't they question? Why didn't they question who the Neziah? What is the Neziah's last name? Zilla says this case is making me angrier by the minute. Mel says I'm on vacation, so I'm sure I've missed a lot. But this case makes us all angry, Zilla. It really do, because it's no excuse. These are children. These are children. And there's a complaint. There's a complaint. And the suspect in the complaint is Jarvis Butts. That's the suspect. So if Jarvis Butts is the suspect and you got his report card, you go and you get him. Oh, he got questioned. It's in the CPS. They did question Jarvis, but he said that he didn't do it. Of course he gonna say he didn't do it. For all of my Shanquilla Robinson people. Ain't the same thing that the FBI tried to claim? Oh, well, the travel mates, they all said that Shanquilla agreed to the fight.
It's a horrible excuse. We still should have done what we should have done.
The fact that they acknowledge it shouldn't have worked this way, and it took for something so tragic to happen to her, you're damn right it shouldn't have worked that way. They should have did their job.
Kiwana Morton is one of Neziah's relatives who says she filed complaints with CPS too. She wonders tonight if the 13-year-old's fate might have been different had police ever bothered to reach out.
Somebody has to answer for that. They absolutely do. CPS and DPD.
I think the obvious question that a case like this begs is how many other victims or alleged victims in reports like this were named but never contacted by DPD?
Yeah, prior to the recent process, I don't know. I would hate to speculate even.
Do you worry that there are other cases like
Of course, yeah, for sure.
I don't think it stopped in one child sliding through the crack. They clearly weren't doing their jobs.
He said he didn't do it, and they just went with that and did not do any further investigation. Wow. Yep, but remember the detective said he was retiring the next day. Hurricane says, and I get remad every time it's discussed. I see you down there trying to roast me, positive vibes. I see you down there trying to roast me, positive vibes. Salute, Nina. They shouldn't have never let him out after the first filthy act he did. That's facts. That's facts. These laws need to be stricter. I think when it comes to child molesters, sexual assaulters, sex offenders, it's just my honest opinion. I think they should do some hard time. I think that those are the ones that should be doing some hard time. Ms. Parker, yes, this cruise has been so relaxing. I'm just glad I had a chance to talk to my baby before I left. Exactly, Ms. Parker. Distance himself is what he's doing. He said he didn't do it, and they just went with that and did nothing, do any further investigating. Wow. You admitted it as if it was nothing. Wow. Yeah, like it's nothing. Like it's nothing. Clearly, since they dropped the ball, and law should be created in Naziah's name to prevent this. Swan admit they did what they did. Needed change. And we shall not stop going hard for Naziah. Purple hearts up, y'all. Purple hearts for Naziah. And hashtag justice for Naziah. So he was a fourth-time habitual offender, and they just let him run the streets. Exactly. Exactly, Alicia. That walking deal picker has done enough damage. I am so sorry, Naziah. Even if he was retiring, he should have done something or put the case into the proper hands. Exactly. The clear people that hold these jobs, we can't expect for them to care about our babies. And that's what I was saying, Hurricane. We're going to have to change things. We, as melanated people, we're going to have to take back our communities. We're going to have to take back our families. We're going to have to take back our children. We can do it. We can do it. We've always been able to survive. We've always bounced back from hellified conditions. So we can do it. We can do it. It can be done. But we got to do it. We can't expect for no outside forces to do it for us. We can't keep praying. We can't expect for God to make this change. We can't keep blaming the devil. We got to be the ones to make the change. Nisha says, I don't understand how they asked him if he did it when he got priors. This stuff just makes me mad. It's like the system for Black people is terrible. Justice for the babies in Detroit. Facts, Nisha. Facts. Y'all gonna take the word of a known sex offenders. A known sex offender, you're gonna take the word. You don't question this witness / victim. no doubt. Then you got Trump that hired all sex offenders, rapists in his administration, letting domestic terrorists out of prison that were also sexual abusers and gun runners. It's the parents' responsibility at the end of the day. That's facts. Can't get around that, desperate sacrifices. It is the parents' responsibilities. Appreciate that super sticker, Zilla. Appreciate the super sticker, Zilla. It is the parents' responsibility. It's the grandparents' responsibility. It's the aunt's responsibility. And they failed her. They failed this little girl right here. And to this day, we still don't know what happened to Naziah Harris. We still don't know what happened to her. She still hasn't gotten a proper burial. She still hasn't been laid to rest properly. What are we doing? I always got to come back to us. What are we doing to make the change? To make a difference? What are we doing as parents? What are we doing as parents? As fathers, as mothers? What are we doing? Are we sitting around blaming the other parent? A lot of this starts right there. A lot of the problems that's going on in our household, most of the problems come from mother and father bickering back and forwards at each other. Most of our problems, that's where it starts. The father and the mother not on the same page for whatever reasons. For whatever reasons. Most of these problems start when the parents are not on the same page. Both parents has to be on the same page. Sure, a single parent can raise children by his or herself. Sure, I ain't taking that away from single parents. But most of the problems come when mommy and daddy is not on the same page. We done already done the backstory on Miss Annette. Miss Annette was doomed at 11 years old when she was allegedly pregnant. So we backtrack it to Miss Annette, Naziah's grandmother. Did Miss Annette ever get any help? And according to Janelle or Kiwana, I can't remember which one of them it was. I think it was Janelle. Correct me if I'm wrong. Janelle said that her parents tried to help Miss Annette, but Miss Annette didn't want the help. So at 11 years old, Naziah's grandmother has been molested. So now Naziah's grandmother has these children, and the children starts to run away from home. So if the children are running away from home, that tells us that it's something going on in that house in order for them children to run away. So now Miss Annette children's start to have children. So now, as Positive Vibes said, all this trauma is being passed down. Nobody has went to counseling. Nobody has gotten any therapy. Nobody has gotten any kind of help. So when you look at Miss Annette, and I'm not making mockery of her, I'm not making fun of Miss Annette. I won't do that. I won't do that. That's not what I'm here for. Even though I'm very highly upset with her and the way how she handled Naziah and the rest of them children, I'm still not going to make fun of her. But when you look at Miss Annette, you could see, after knowing the backstory on Miss Annette, after getting the backstory on Miss Annette, you could look at Miss Annette and you could see hurt. You could see pain. She never got any help. She never got no help to deal with her past trauma. In my opinion, and many of y'all disagree with me, but in my opinion, Miss Annette, and you know, I could be wrong, but in my opinion, Miss Annette felt like nobody was there to protect me as a child. Nobody was there to protect me as a little girl. Nobody came to my rescue as a little girl. So why in the hell should I come to any of these little girls' rescue? She ain't thinking with a full deck. We got to remember, she ain't thinking with a full deck now. Any female, any little girl that was sexually assaulted at any age, a grown woman that gets sexually assaulted, if she don't get some kind of counseling and go through therapy sessions, she's not going to be working with a full deck because of that trauma. So now we're dealing with 11-year-old Miss Annette, who was never got healed. Who did Miss Annette go to talk to? I'm sure just like all females, most men only wanted Miss Annette for her body. I'm sure of that. Most men, that's all most men want women for is their body. It was a time when that's all I wanted women for was their body. So Miss Annette, she's coming in contact with these men. It's sad that her and Jarvis was having sexual relations. And I can believe that. Miss Annette had to be getting something. She had to be getting something out of the deal in order for her to allow Jarvis to sexually assault Naziah and the rest of them babies. Miss Annette knew. She definitely knew. So she ain't caring about no Naziah. You could tell by the interviews. You could tell the mere fact she waited all night long and she didn't report Naziah missing to the police. But she waited all night long to report it. She ain't care about Naziah. Hurt people. She was hurt as a little girl. Her innocence was robbed. So now you got Slick Pimp Jarvis. He comes along. He sure know how to pick them, don't he? He sure know how to pick them. As Ms. Parker said, he picked them out of the jungle. He knew to go to the jungle to pick them. He ain't go to the forest. He went to the jungle to pick his his stable of women. And if you look at his stable of women, the majority of them favor each other. The majority of them look alike. It's sad that he was dealing with Marquita first. Allegedly, you know, rumors are out there that one or two of Marquita children are Jarvis, but it's said allegedly that he was fooling with Marquita first. That's why Marquita turned the blinds eye. Women do some dumb ish in the name of love. Men do some dumb ish in the name of love. But women do dumb ish in the name of love. So it's a competing thing. But the thing that gets me, some grown women got jealous of a little baby behind a man. Grown women. This is the movies that you see on Lifetime. I love watching Lifetime movies. Drop a one if y'all like watching Lifetime movies. I love watching Lifetime movies, but this is a Lifetime movie. This is beyond a soap opera. This right here outdo 5 soap operas. The Guiding Light, Days of Our Lives, The World Turns, Young and the Restless, Bold and the Beautiful. They ain't got nothing on this family. But this is a Lifetime movie. You know how the Lifetime movies start out, and then halfway through, they start getting interesting. And then by the time it gets to the end, you hooked. The beginning, when this case first broke, in the beginning, most of us was like, damn. But then as things got halfway through, it caught everybody's attention. A Lifetime movie. When it got halfway, that's when it caught everybody's attention. And then at the end of the Lifetime movies, you'd be mad as an MFer. Same way with this story. Now we close to the end. Everybody is in their feelings. Everybody is mad. Everybody want to put hands on Jarvis. Everybody want to put hands on Miss Annette, Shannon. Everybody want to put hands on them. There are thousands of Miss Annettes that is out here. I have to ask you all. And you don't have to be honest with me, but be honest with yourself. Are you Miss Annette? And if you are Miss Annette, you need help. You're not crazy. Nothing for you to think of that you can't get help. Nothing, so because it's a lot of Miss Annettes out here, just like it's a lot of Jarvises out here. It's a lot of Shannons out here. It's a lot of Naziah Harrises out here. But we got to find a way to help. Because see, if Miss Annette would have got help before this took place, I doubt it if we wanted to do harm to Miss Annette. If Jarvis, many of y'all say Shank Rock missed me with that bullshit, Jarvis can't never get help. And I'm going to ride with y'all. But even if Jarvis would have seeked out help, Naziah would still be here. Shannon, if she would have seeked out help, Naziah still would be here. So what I'm saying is, if you can identify as being in the same predicament that Miss Annette is in, please seek help. Please seek help. It's okay. The worst thing that you could do is be in denial. That's going to make you crazy. If you know children or a child is being sexually assaulted and you do nothing to stop it, that makes you crazy. But to seek help, that's not going to make you crazy. Because I'm tired of these babies. I'm tired of these things that's happening to these babies. But we got to first recognize. We got to see it. Once we see it, and that's a good point, Alicia. That's a good point. I see through you. And I know, trust me, I know how it starts on both sides. I know how it starts on both sides. That's why when I think back to old-fashioned ways, the old-fashioned ways to me was the best. The old-fashioned ways kept us out of a lot of trouble. Them old-fashioned principles, like I said, back in the 80s, y'all women know how hard y'all used to make us work to get them panties. Let's talk now. Man, we used to have to go through all kind of, we had to jump over fences. Man, we had to do all kind of crossword puzzles. Man, we had to do all kind of stuff to get the panties. And then we still didn't get the panties. Then we all mad and leave. Then here y'all come pushing up on us. You mad, don't be mad. But the point that I'm making is, nowadays, everything is so jacked up. But we got to put a stop. We got to put a stop to these babies. Because God forbid if something happened to mine. I pray nothing happened to mine. I'm not going to hold y'all that much longer. I see through you says drop the link. If anybody want to join me on the panel, click on the link. Them babies right there. That's Naziah. Look, just look. Just look. That's a baby. Tanya says, my heart hurts. Tony says, if you are sick, how can you help someone else that is going through something like this? C Mob says, Michelle says, right, Tony. C Mob says, I worked for CPS in North Carolina for 20 years. In North Carolina, all 10 kids would have been removed once a background was done on Jarvis. And that's what I don't understand. How hard was it for anything to be done when the report came through.
Salute, Shank.
What do we have here? I seen you down there throwing up them tacos. I'm gonna let you slide though.
I don't want y'all to see me. How I turn off this camera?
Just why you don't want us to see?
Cause I don't want to be seen.
Turn your camera off then. Put the
How
phone.
you doing? My grandson gonna help me.
You know how to turn the camera off for?
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Okay, thank you. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm up here. But listen, everything that you're saying, Shank, it is so true. And I appreciate it. What happened? Am I doing something wrong?
No, you good. You good.
Okay. Now, if we could, the question that I asked, how would you or any other guy that's in the chat respond to a woman with like Annette's past? If she should tell you, how would you treat her?
First, I would talk to her and I would ask her, do you think you need help? And then I would go from there. She might say, no, Shank, I don't need no help. She might say, Shank, I do need some help. But I would first ask her. And then after that, of course, I would monitor her. You know, I would monitor her behavior, you know.
Okay. So if anything should, for instance, if they began to get stimulated, like from a situation that, you know, what's going on right now with Naziah, and all the other young girls, although they are girls, a lot of times this happened to us. And I put myself in that circle. It happened to us as we were a little girl. And I have had problems because nobody knows, you know what I'm saying? But it was my brother. But this is not about me. I just want to know how the men would respond to a woman. Would you be there? Could you be that soft place for them to come?
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes. I would be that. I could be that soft place.
Could you? I mean, you know, now y'all gonna laugh at me. I don't care because this is just me. My name, I see through you. That's what it is. And that's what I do. I didn't ask to be born this way, but I see things. And I have tried not to. I always thought it was a curse that, you know, I can meet a person and be like, okay, no. You know, but it's like I can see people. It's not all the time that I do, but when I see them, then I know what I know without a shadow of a doubt. So if any guy that's in the chat, if you're dealing with someone that may have, you know, exposed their past to you, not for sympathy from you, but this is something that I'm working with, and then all of a sudden it may be 2 years before they fall back, and they're, you know, they kind of get sucked back into that spot. They're fighting to come out. How could you respond? What would be your way of letting them know, hey, it's okay. You want to cry it out. But would you be willing? Not only you, Shank, I'm just talking to anybody. I don't even know if you in this type of this type of situation or anything. I'm not putting that stipulation on you. But what I'm asking is, could you allow that woman to get it out? If she needed to cry, if she needed to be angry with you, but not with you, but you're the person that's there. I know it take a lot, but could you be there, be that man, you know, be that strength, be that wall, be that pillow for her? Because as women, we are a lot. Sometimes, whether me and no or not, we have to man up, even though we got a man.
Well,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So could you be soft? Could the men be soft for a woman like that to try to help them, and then you too go to counseling with her? And that didn't have anybody. All she had was a pound partner. She had a pound partner, somebody to come in and do what she did, and that may have been what triggered her to be so distant. She had. You can look, like you stated, you can look at that woman and tell she's dead on the inside. It's nothing but hatred there. And she feeds off of hurt from somebody else because that's how she felt all her life. And she turned that thing around. Okay, you know what? Yeah, nobody loved me and I didn't get nothing, but I'm going to get something out of this. So she was making money. She was making money off of every little slap, trap, kiss that went on in that house, even off of her own children.
And that's what I was saying, as far as nobody came to rescue her. Nobody came to help her as a little child. So she grew up with resentment. She grew up with that mentality, you know, nobody cared about me when I was young, and hurt people.
Exactly.
Now, to kind of answer your question, I've been in situations like that, as far as dealing with a woman that's damaged. Now, you got to keep in mind, I'm damaged as well. I'm searching for healing for myself. So what happens in situations like this, and this is why I said the communication between man and woman has to be there, because as a woman, women perceive men to be a certain way. However, women really don't understand men. Men, we get weak. We cry. We need somebody to hold us too. So along with me trying to be this damaged woman's support system as well, I'm trying to be her crutch. I'm trying to, you know, deal with her in her situation. Speaking if it was Miss Annette. Now, she might feel as though I'm not there because the trauma, and this is why I said dealing with trauma, when a woman and man, but when a woman has been traumatized so young, and this is just my opinion, even though the man can be part of her support system, even though the man can walk with her, even though the man can be there, this is just my opinion, there's only two people that can change that woman. That's herself and her creator, whatever God she believes in. So for me, I'll send any woman to her creator. Baby, if you are Muslim, baby, you want to go to the mosque? If you are Christian, baby, you want to go to church? I'll go to church with her. I'll go to the mosque with her. Baby, you a Jehovah's Witness? Baby, you want to go to Kingdom Hall? Because for me, I know a man and woman's connection to whatever God it is that they serve. That's a powerful connection. So to answer your question, yes, I could be there with Miss Annette. I could. And I've been in situations with Miss Annette's. And I've been in situations where I had to run Jarvis's away. Don't come back around here no more. Because it's certain things I don't play as a man. That's why when I listen to King, I know King on some bullshit. I know he on some bullshit because the man's code, our code, and this is all men, regardless of nationality. Our code is we're not going to entertain a sexual offender. A sex offender, we ain't going to entertain them. It's two things we're going to do to a sex offender. We're going to put hands on them or we're going to get away from them. Just because that sex offender might sexually assault my child, my grandchild. Oh, she dropped down. Come on in, Miss Parker.
Yeah, I'm not gonna stay long because I know you was about to end it, but I do want to shout out to Kiwana for stating that cause see, everything ain't bad, and I'm glad you pointed that out. You pointed what you liked about them, you pointed what you liked about Rocks. You know what I'm saying? That's the most important things, the things that matter. And I think they do need to be held accountable. Sorry, we fumbled the ball. See, these kind of things, Shane, don't wait till it's almost time for everybody to sit in hot seats. When we think October 2nd forever, it'll be here before we know it. See, everybody's trying to get their ducks in a row, Shank. It's shit's coming out. 40 new witnesses. 40. People gonna start talking. And we all gotta pay attention. Sometimes it don't matter if you're kin to somebody, it's who you know. So with them fumbling that bag and the fact that he even said like, so what we do, because we quitting the next day, you know what I'm saying? I mean, we just stand at the register. You ain't got to take an order or nothing. Shit, on my last day tomorrow, I'ma just stand here. Why'd you even go in? Why'd you even go in? Because see, when y'all, it ain't just Annette, it ain't just Shannon, it ain't just Jarvis. It's each and every person that didn't do anything, from the teacher to even we can go further to when Jarvis was popping up at the school. That's a violation. Shank, you mean to tell me what kind of school is that? I don't want a school where any and everybody could pull up and pull my grandbaby to the fence and talk to what?
Right.
And just who is that? Now I don't need know who is that. I need description of the car and everything. How many times we done heard missing kids and it be right there from the school? Parents sitting there, the parents that lost custody sitting across the street for the kids never to be seen again. There's a lot of stories behind some of them missing kids from the school.
Exactly.
Last seen at the school. What are we doing? Y'all talking about cuts and stuff. That's why the teachers don't pay attention. They do the bare minimum. Some of them go above and beyond. Some of them are amazing. But it's some of them like, shoot, they thinking just like we do when we go to work. They ain't giving me enough. You are responsible for what, 12 to 15 kids, maybe more.
Right.
To notice everything about everybody, because teachers just don't teach. They got to be observing. They got special needs. They got mental health issue people. It's a lot. So, you know, when we got somebody sitting at a preliminary and honestly, admittingly, without I mean, when I say he admit, how many, you take missing person report now? How many people you talk to? 2 kids? What? You ain't talk to the teacher? No. Wait a minute. Can we start over? Because this is horrible. Nothing good came out of this man's mouth that was supposed to protect the community and check in every detail of the last time they seen her and all of that. Not say, he said, shit, I was returned next. What? I mean, can we rewind this? And this is who's protecting the communities? He's law enforcement. How many kids have he done this to? Not just Naziah. How many kids are really missing where he just didn't care? Because that was a sure sign of, I don't care. Ready to go at any given moment and gave up on everything that he swore into. When they swear them in, they swear to do their job thoroughly. How many other kids are Naziah's that he done this to? How many cases are like this that's been overlooked by the school, CPS, and the police department?
Miss Parker. Miss
Yeah.
Parker. Let me
Yeah.
Honey Bun. Let me unmute Honey Bun. We got
Yeah.
a new panel. Salute Honey Bun. Come on and slide in.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, you good.
So I'm a new subscriber to your show. I've
Thank you.
watched the last one. I'm from Maryland. And I don't want to detour your show or anything. I watched your show with, I think her name was Charlene.
Yes, ma'am.
Um, it was therapy for me. And I don't want to make your show sad or anything because this is the first time really speaking out of I'm 40 years old.
Speak your truth. Speak your truth. Let it out. Let it out.
And I was basically Naziah in a sense, whereas
Take your time, honey bun.
so as early as it's weird because I grew up, and I don't know if it's culturally, if it's different. I grew up in a Guyanese family, so a Caribbean family, where if you say anything, it's your fault. My mom was the one where she always had her businesses or whatever. So it's like she provided for me and my brother, but it was like she was on the go. So I had nannies, I had everything, but not a mom. I was always at people's house. They were babysitting me, but anytime where we're like go out, like I had a good life. Like when I say good life, I had like good activities. I grew up in Catholic school and everything. But as far as a mom and what I needed, she wasn't there. And I fought her for that because her and my dad separated when I was like 8. Long story short, and watching Charlene and the whole Naziah story, like from as early as 8 years old, I remember my godfather. I used to always go over to their house because they lived across the street. My mom and and their family, they traveled together, everything. So I was there with my god sisters. I always noticed I was always over there. My godfather, he would always look at me. I always remember him licking his tongue out at me. He never touched me, but I was always uncomfortable. And that was the very first experience that I experienced where, a man advances. So then it was like, okay. And then growing up as a heavyset child, you subconsciously you want the attention, but because you weren't taught, because I was always left to my own. I had my own phone. My mom just gave me money, threw money at me, whatever I need to find monetarily, but I didn't know. I had to figure things out on my own. So, um, so after that experience, this was years with him doing that with me. I never said anything up to now. I would never tell my god sisters. I'm 40. I would never say anything. That was my first experience. It's an 8 or 9, whatever. By the time I was 14, actually 13, I remember me lying to a guy because I wanted attention. When you be up late at night, you're on. Remember when we had the phone, the call lines where you could talk to people and stuff like that. So I was on the phone lines and stuff like that, and it was like, okay. When I think back, Renee, well, are you doing too much? My name is Renee, I'm sorry. But I'm like, well, are you doing too much? Like, when I think back, like, what made you do that? But I believe it's because my godfather, showed me attention that I didn't want. But subconsciously, I accepted it and wanted it from somebody that was younger, of course. And so I remember me going on these call lines. And I remember when I was 13 years old, I'm talking to a guy that's 19. So when I hear stories with these people or kids that are young and they're dating these older guys, it's not our fault, really. It's things that we experienced before and we want the attention. We don't know about age. We don't know anything. In our mind, it's like, oh, we're responsible. Oh, we think we know it, right? At 14, no, 13, I remember at 19, I lost my virginity at 19 years old. At 14, well, I thought I lost my virginity because I thought, during the act that you lose your stuff or whatever. But I'm not too sure. But I remember at 14 when I went over a guy's house and he was 20. I was 14. Leaving school, when you got your half days off, your parents don't know you sneaking and you doing all that as a little girl or kids. He older. I went to his house, and because I went there, like, he raped me for years. I didn't say it was rape because I went over to the house. When I told my mother, she said it was my fault. And I told her at 15. And so when I hear stories like that, it hurts so bad I can't sleep, especially think about Naziah and Janiyah, the other girl. Like, when I think about this stuff with men and they're young, these are kids, 19 years old, taking advantage of kids that are small. Like, why? And it's still, when I look at this as 40 years old, it's still going on. And it's because we as kids cannot go to our parents or anybody because we're lying. We want attention. We want this. We want that. And then now as a 40-year-old, when I'm sitting here watching your show, and I was so scared to call. I swear I was so scared because I never popped up on nobody's panel or anything. But I'm sitting here talking to my boyfriend. And we're moving it together this week. We've been together for 3 years. Well, for the first time, I think when I met him, I told him I was raped at 14. But then he's like, for the past couple weeks, actually months, looking at Naziah stuff, I could not sleep. He couldn't figure out why. So I'm telling him this story. And his daughter is 17, and I haven't met her, and she looks just like Naziah. Just like her. So when I look at her, and he's such a good dad. And when I look at him, and I just told him literally before I called you, he said, you got to go to sleep. You got to go to sleep. And when I told him that about the story, when I was thinking, he was like, this is why you can't sleep. And I ended up telling him, I said, the stories that I see myself. And I said, I don't know if he understands. And it hurt me so bad to tell him the man that I love. It hurt me so bad because I don't want him to think I'm damaged. But it's like everybody in my family, not close to anybody in my family, and I feel like they knew. I couldn't talk to anybody. I hate everybody. I hate everybody in my family, and it hurts so bad. I have nobody to talk to. My dad, I'm embarrassed to tell him because I feel like it's late. And only if he knew that my godfather, that he wanted to be my godfather, did that to me when I was 8 or 9 years old. I can't do that to my father. So it's like now I'm sitting here watching this stuff and it's therapy for me. Yes, I should talk to somebody, but I didn't realize all of this stuff that's coming up with other people is still affecting me. Because why? When I just told my man, I was so ashamed. I was so ashamed. Because I said I see myself, and he said, wait, what happened to you when you was 8 or 9? So he started asking questions, and I was like, I wasn't ready for it because I just thought it would be like a surface conversation on why I'm looking at this stuff, this, that, and the other. But I was like, I just feel as though because I'm watching these things to these little girls and stuff like that, it affects him, it affects me, and I shouldn't worry about him because it's about me and healing. However, I just came to thank you because this was therapy for me. I appreciate you so much. I don't know you from a can of paint, but
what part of Maryland you from?
Largo, Maryland.
Okay.
And and so Yeah, I'm from Largo, so it's like I'm watching you all the time now, and I just admire the work that you do because you're not only trying to look for answers and search, you're healing the little girl within these women. And I thank you for that. Because now I want to talk to somebody because I didn't feel as though like I was this hurt. But how can I be my best self moving into, like, he's talking about marrying me, this and the other, but I feel like he doesn't know me. And it's like, do I tell him? What do I do? How do you, as a little girl, and that's my next question, how do you, as a little girl who have survived this, how do you have a successful relationship? Because at the end of the day, no man wants their woman to be violated by another man. I don't care if it was 10, 15 years ago when it was or yesterday. They don't want to hear that.
I can't say that is true, honey bun. I can't say that is true. I don't know your man, but he sounds like he's a solid guy. He
Yeah.
sounds like he's a stand-up guy. I'm
Yeah.
sure he will understand. And I'm sure that he loves you. And I'm sure that he would be there to support you. I'm sure of that. Just be as honest with him as you can. And then that way, that gives him the opportunity to understand my baby has trauma. My baby has been through some things. My baby needs me. And one thing that I can say about a man, we are protectors. We are protectors.
Yeah. He's thorough, and this is why I feel the way I feel. Because I'm a, I don't know if anybody believes in this, Charlie, but I'm a Leo. Like, I'm a people pleaser. I don't want you to have a negative anything, and even forget about him. Even with me and my healing, I don't want to feel like this because it's like at the end of the day, my family comes for me for everything. When I say no, I feel bad. But no one, when I say no one, I can put that in my life. No one. I was like, Messiah, everybody failed me. And they did. And what I'm going to do at 40 years old, tell them about it? What I'm going to do? When they think, oh, this is going to be your fault. You should have said something sooner. That's the attitude. That's what hurt me the most. Because I don't mind talking about it now after watching your show, watching Charlene. Like, I don't mind now. But where do I go? And I'm sorry to derail your show.
No. That's
But
what
I
it's
just
about.
want you to know I
Get it out.
appreciate you so much. I
Get it out.
appreciate you so much.
Get it out.
And I think that's all I'm going to say. But a lot has happened to me. And from the time before 13 to 18 years old, in the clubs, one night stands, all kinds of stuff. Nothing fulfilling, all kinds of stuff. And why am I doing that? Because I was a fat little girl who never got any attention, who told their mother, and I was a liar. Where do I go? "40 years old with no children. Always wanted a kid." I just feel damaged, and I just feel like I was cheated out of this life. I feel like I could have been so much more had my mother said, okay, this was wrong. What happened? Even if she didn't want to do nothing to the guy, even if get me help, get these children help. When I'm my age, I'm scared to look at social media with these kids and this generation with this. It's too much. Nobody dates anymore. Nobody courts anymore. Nobody has any respect for anybody. And then when you tell your story, you're lying. Or you gotta prove it. Anyway, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Take all the time you need. Ms. Parker, is there anything that you would like to say to Honey Bun?
Yeah, Honey Bun, I was a victim too.
Ugh.
And I so feel like you. When I told my mother, I was on YouTube actually, and um it was a lady. I don't know. It was a lot going on, but I remember this woman on the stage, and I don't know if God took me there, and she was just on a panel crying and talking about just like you, and it just hit me. It for some reason I was like, I don't want to. I was like you. I don't want to tell it, and it was like the summer of 2022, and Shank Rock. I was sitting with Shank, and I was like, I think I'm finally ready to tell it. And as hard as I thought it was gonna be to tell it, because I feel like how she didn't want to tell. I didn't want to say nothing. I didn't want to say nothing. It's like I kept it in this long. What's the point? I grew up. I'm older. I don't got to see him no more. And this is family. So imagine, you're around family, and I'm just like, and I told my chat that last night, like, why me? Out of all the cousins, like, not saying it's okay to feel like that, but it was just like, why me? I didn't dress different from my sisters. I didn't dress different from my cousins. Her wasn't no different. So I was like, why me? And it wasn't comfortable. It still ain't comfortable. But I'm like, honey, but the story of Naziah brings that trauma out of you.
Yeah.
And when I used to write my pain down, honey, everything I went through, I wrote it down on paper. I made my own poetry from my pain. I put all that hate on a piece of paper. Because if I didn't have the strength to tell it to them, I could put it down and tell it to myself. So when I rewrite it, I look at it and I cry all the time at the words that came out, and I decide every day I want to use my voice to help somebody else.
Thank God for you.
And it was strong that you even came and told your story.
Thank you so much.
And you never know who's going to come down and, say, Honey Bun, you helped me. I remember it was a little girl in Honey Bun. When I told my story, I knew there was somebody that was going to use my story against me. But I said, I got to tell it because it was a burden on my heart. It was. I
It
carried
is.
it for so many years. And just when
Oh,
you think life couldn't, get worse, it's like you think after it happened, honey, when you think it just goes away, I wanted it to go away. And
how old were you? I don't know if I missed it.
I was 7, first 7 by his sister, my cousin's sister. And then I was 9 by him. And my first one was a girl cousin.
I'm so sorry.
So it was just like, I didn't know I didn't know because my mother, she talked about good touch, bad touch, but I don't know. I don't know why I didn't understand that then. But once I got older and I understood what it was, and it would be the fact that he would still be around knowing what he did to me, because I don't know if I just kind of tucked it in the back of my head because I didn't want to remember that trauma. And when I seen him at my mother's funeral, I instantly said, Shank. I just froze a little bit like, Shank, that's the cousin.
Do you
Like
blame your mom? Do you blame? Do you blame your mom?
I did, because she used to drop us off, and even though it was our cousins, it was her mother and it was my grandmother. It was just like, and I still don't know, honey, but how many other cousins he done it to. That's the thing. I feel guilty because if he did. And then when my little cousin came to my show one night, she said he touched me too, and I was like, damn, I could have saved my cousins.
And the way it's said sometimes when you hear that they touch other people, and when you hear like what your cousin said, he touched me too or whatever, it's like, I don't know how she said it, but the way you said it, it was just something normal. You understand? Like, when you that young, it's like you feel uncomfortable. You don't think it's normal. But in your mind, subconsciously, it's normal. So you don't say anything. And then when you start to think about it, you say, oh no, like, you really feel like something's wrong. And you decide to speak. And you work up all this courage. And you rehearsing what you're saying. To be shut down. Say it's your fault. Or ignored because of their pride, because they got other things to do. And I'm not gonna hold you. Your mom gave me a good life aside from she wasn't there. I had all the materials. I had a car I had a Benz at 15 before I could even drive. I was in private school. I was in dance. I was in everything. But my social life, by the time I was 18, my father was a DJ. I was in clubs at 18, 19 years old. So imagine what I've seen before that age. One night stands, people looking at me like, I'm a piece of something,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
and then I'm already big growing up. So the little bit of attention I got, I wanted it. And for people to say that girl is fast, it come from somewhere. Start when she was a little girl. Some kids don't have nobody to tell, but Naziah, she told. And what did CPS do? Came, they saw the house was clean, everything. Disregarded that little girl. Why? Now we don't even know. They were saying, oh, she dead. Now we don't even know if she alive or not. How can a kid go missing and a person in the house don't know where they at, their whereabouts? Look at her. She looks just like my boyfriend's daughter. Split an image, and when I see that, I cannot sleep. And because he cherishes his daughter so much and who she's around and everything, I was with him for 3 years. I finally spoke to her 3 days ago, and guess what? Me and her got the same birthday. August 10th. Me and her got the same everything. The way my mother was with me is the same way her mother was with her. Disregarded her, throw stuff, everything. So when I see Naziah, I see her, and I'm so glad her father's in her life. I don't care if I'm with him at 10 o'clock, and about the time his daughter called, he's gone, and I respect it. Why? Because I had an active dad. I can't tell my dad nothing because I feel like I'm going to disappoint him. I should have told, you know what I mean? But I'm so happy I have the man that I have, and I'm so happy that once I told him, he already told her. Once anything happened, she knows. Call her father. He's ready. Pistol and all, ready. That's the type of man I gravitate to, somebody like my dad. But had I had that influence as a little girl, I'd be unstoppable. I have low self-esteem. I'm scared to talk to people. Scared, especially men. I'm scared of them to death. I met my man in the parking lot because I was walking home by myself. And he said, it's okay. I live in a complex. I could walk with you. We walking. By the time I get comfortable, we end up just exchanging numbers. Changed my whole life. So anyway, I'm just saying, women, if something happened to you and you got children, you didn't talk, you got children, speak to especially your girls. Not to say nothing that'll happen to little boys, but speak to your girls, please. Because at the end of the day, if you defend them, if you protect them, that conversation, it could be one conversation. One conversation could take them a long way. So, anyway, that's it. And I appreciate you for everything. You and Miss Parker, I appreciate y'all. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
That was powerful testimony, honey bun. You did it right there. That's the beginning. Baby, you did it. You did so good right now. And that's what comes with trauma. Tears, but see, when we let them tears out, a piece of us heals. I always, I was so broken last night, honey, but I was doing everything you doing. My trauma came back. And I told my chat, the little girl in me came back because I didn't feel protected again.
Yeah, cause I had to speak. I said I like Shay. I said what? A man that care, a black man that care is everything to me. I don't care what nobody says. Everything to me. Why?
Can I
Because
say
my
something?
dad. Uh-huh.
Honey, you pushing it.
No,
No, I'm
something.
not. I'm just
And
saying.
let
I
me
got
just
a
say
daughter.
something. Let me say something. I appreciate them words. Appreciate that super chat. I see through you. Thank you, Shank, for your time. But it get me in trouble a lot of times for
Oh, it
caring.
do.
Yeah, I've been getting in trouble for probably the last 30-something years for caring about people because I got a kind heart. And it's like but I am who I am. So I'm
Yeah.
not gonna stop caring about people, but it get me in trouble because I attract all kind of people because
Nah, don't.
I
Nah.
I want to know your pain. I want to be there to support you. I want to be there. Whatever I got that you can use, I want it to be for you to use. So, but you just speak your piece. I'm glad to
As you
have you.
should. God is using you. I'm just saying God is using you because when I say I was scared, oh, I'm scared. My hand's shaking. I'm scared. But I cannot watch your show and I gravitate. I've been on all these panels. I'm not been on all, but I go through all these, channels and stuff like that. I ain't never been on no panel. Man, what? When I saw you, I said, I can't continue watching this man's show without saying something because every time I watch you, I cry. I cry, and it's not what you saying. It's the story behind it and the fact that someone is doing the work to show that they care. And even though you may not, or I don't know, if you're not out there physically doing it, you helping souls. And you have healed my soul. And I thank you for that.
You're welcome. And I thank you once again. And my platform, whenever you want to hit the panel, Mr. Shank Rock, I got something to say. Come on up. Come on up.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you, Miss Parker.
No, thank you, honey bun.
All right, I'm gonna go back in the chat. Thank
All
you.
right, thanks.
All right.
And I'm gonna let you give your last words, Miss Parker, because I know you got a live coming up, right?
I do. I really do.
The floor is all
I
yours.
want
Go
to
ahead.
say to my riders in Rock Squad last night that was in support of me because I felt honey bun. It take a stranger and it's sad, but it take a stranger to sometimes let you know that they there to comfort the child in you that comes out. You don't know the time, the day, where it happens. These cases are so triggering in so many ways. And it's more than just one woman that's going through this. It's multiple. So I don't want to single out one woman. I want to single out each and every one of us. That with our story, it can carry on and on and on and say more and more and more. Because as sad as our story sound, for the next little girl, it might be so sad, she might be like, I don't want to do that. I don't think I want to go there. I want to do that. Something in our voice can change every man. And look, every obstacle out there, Shank, to come. And if it took your platform for Honey Bun to call in, that's a blessing. Because really, that's what platform's supposed to be used for, to reach out to somebody. Some stories are worse than others. Some ain't even really true. I just found out about a story today, Shank, and it threw me. Because this is why we get pushed to the back. This is why the Naziah Harris's cases get pushed to the back. But nobody said it was going to be easy. Even with this case, it is not easy.
Not at all.
Every day when you think, you know what I'm saying, you're getting stronger to handle it and talk about something, and you mention Jarvis' name, there goes somebody else that's been traumatized. It bring out other people's trauma that has nothing to do with this case. It's just what it is. There's been so many of my sisters in the chat that's came in my chat. So I want to salute to them for telling me their story. I want to salute to you for everybody. Because see, when I think sometimes, and I want to be so respectful about this, when I look at Naziah and so many other children, this just involved a sick, twisted family. Who made this a mockery. So others like this and look at this, other monsters, they're going to follow suit. So we can't have Detroit fumble the ball on this trash chain. This is so important. And we don't want to sweep under the rug for nobody, because everybody's hands is dirty. We can't just blame Shannon, Annette, and Jarvis at this point for Naziah missing. All y'all. Because without justice, the trauma will never be healed. We need extensive therapy. We need extensive therapy there for each victim all around the world, not just there. To have that safe place. Because as adults, we don't want to tell, we don't want to talk. So imagine the babies. Imagine the threats that we know and heard these kids got for wanting to talk. We need people to start believing and stop turning a blind eye to any and everything. I don't care if it's small. If it don't look right, it ain't right. It ain't even just got to be the essay, Shank. It's all kind of stuff. Abuse is abuse. I don't care who said it, you know? So keep doing what you're doing over here. To all my sisters and brothers, because it happens to men too. We survived. A lot of these stories don't have our endings. That's the first start. We don't know where Naziah is. And to even know that she was with child. Shank, you know what it's like being at 13, pregnant almost 3 times in your life, a mother, having to carry a weight of a baby that this woman didn't care so much she couldn't even get a pad. So we know they went in there talking about motherhood. Your body gonna spread, baby. Your bones gonna hurt. You're gonna be sick. She was in her mother and herself to mother. I can't do this no more. I can't do gym no more. I need some. Come on, Shank at 13. Man, that conversation blows me every time. So, you know, when you think about the baby, you only picture yourself there at that time. Once you read a text, it's like reading a book. So that's it. And, you know, more ladies do need to tell their story. But take your time doing it. Because again, everybody's story is not the same. Some comes with mental health. I deal with it. But every now and then, honey bun, you do need that protection. When you tell your story, you do want to feel like it's not nobody coddling you. It's not. We need a protector. Something that we didn't get when I was in that basement. While my sister them got to play tag, my cousin took advantage of me. So salute to the Rock Squad, salute to the riders. I'm about to get dressed.
Appreciate you, Miss Parker, as always. Appreciate that super sticker, Kimberly. Appreciate that super sticker, Kimberly. I want to thank everybody. Thank everybody for your support. One thing about being over here, we agree, we disagree, we cry, we laugh, but I gotta say that we always come together when it's time to support each other. So if you see us maybe laughing and joking, don't get offended. It's just to balance. It's to balance the hurt and the pain. You know, I like to believe that we all have been traumatized. And so if my platform can be used for any of you all to come here, like I said, laugh. I hope. I got a lot of troublemakers down there in the chat. So I hope my troublemakers can, make you laugh. I hope I can make you laugh. You'll know my troublemakers. If you see anybody in the chat throwing up tacos, pizzas, anything other than hot dogs, those are my troublemakers. Now, if you see anybody throwing up the hot dogs, then they are the angels. But shout out to Honey Bun. Shout out to Miss Parker, because it's not easy. It's not easy coming in front of complete strangers, people that you don't even know, and telling your story. But however, it seems like the ones that are the strangers are the ones that take to you. So the platform is open. I'm not going to be on here that much longer, but tomorrow and any other day, if you want to come up here and if you want to vent, if you want to tell your side, whatever it is you want, you might need something, feel free to just say, Shank, can you drop the link? And I'll drop the link, and you come up and tell your story. Tell your story. You take as long as you want. You can cry. You can laugh. Whatever floats your boat. You can crack on my bald head. Whatever. Because the platform is for healing. And I understand that everybody goes about things different. So you have to speak your truth according to how you want to speak your truth. We got to do better as people. We got to do better as men. We got to do better as women. We got to do better. The children are dependent on us. The children are dependent on us. I'll give y'all a quick science lesson, and then we're going to get out of here. The man represents the sun. The woman represents the moon. The children represents the star. In the Bible, it talks about the 3 wise men searching or following the star. It spoke on and symbolic of Jesus being that star. Well, this is the science. So if the man represents the sun, what does the sun do? The sun gives off light. The woman represents the moon. What does the moon do? The moon absorbs the light from the sun. And then what does the moon do with that light that she absorbs from the sun? She reflects that light on the stars. Without the moon, the stars ain't gonna shine. Without the sun, that moon don't have nothing to reflect. So I say all this to say, we got to take our families back. We got to take our communities back. We gotta do better. I gotta do better. I'm not perfect. I appreciate everybody for pulling up. Salute. I will leave the chat running and you all can hang around. Make sure y'all drop those purple hearts and make sure y'all hashtag justice for Naziah Harris. I will see everybody over there with Miss Parker. I will see everybody back over here tomorrow. Salute everybody. And once again, I will leave the chat running and you all can hang around. Salute. Why do you think Keefe D is trying to throw you under the bus by implicating you being in the Tupac's murder?
Well, to be honest, I think it's all the conspirators out there or the conspiracy channels that's out there that's feeding his head. I saw that his son been dealing with this white guy. I don't want to call him assaulting like I want to say, but this guy that got a wig on his hair. I call him Uncle Fester. He got a channel, and they've been pushing that theory and snitch no joke and all of them. They be pushing no theory. So when you start listening to all of them, and the PI that the court appointed them came out with this theory with it being on the case for 3 or 4 days. And then they were like, oh, it was Reggie Wright Jr. We got, but as the DA and everybody told me, say, Reggie, that's just a delayed tactic. They trying to delay the tactic. They got it pushed back a year. And so, hey, well, we care. He's sitting in jail. And so is this a delay tactic? Maybe they hoping some witnesses change their mind or die or something come up. But if you're innocent, you want a speedy trial. But if you know you're going to be sitting down for a while anyway, you'll be like, well, it's easier for my people to come and visit me at LA County Jail than it is, or Las Vegas County Jail than it is to whatever penitentiary they send you, because they can send you to anywhere in the state then. So I think that's what the plan is. And hey, give yourself a chance. Give yourself some type of defense.
Right.
So I ain't mad at him for trying.
Yeah. Now I did hear him mention something about the witness. He said, yeah, the key witness is the one. Are you